Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening, I'm Tate Lakecraft. 3 more people who tested positive for COVID-19 in Saskatchewan have died. One was in the 50 to 59 age group in our northwest zone. There are 146 new cases, including 16 in our zone. In the immediate Lloydminster area, we have 53 active cases. There are 1,582 active cases in the province, including 178 in the northwest. 172 people are in hospital, including 16 in the northwest. More than 50,000 people have been vaccinated province-wide. The City of Lloydminster has retained a contractor to renovate the second floor of the RCMP detachment, which will be occupied by the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team. Eric Bay has more on Alert's presence in the city.
The Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team made the move to Lloydminster with 2 members in December and has expanded its operations since. Alert will be using the second floor of the city's RCMP detachment, and City Council signed off on a contractor this week to update the space.
When the building was finished, I don't know if there was a true conceptual design, and Alert was definitely not on the radar, I understand.
Lloydminster becomes Alert's 6th regional team, and its location as a border city between Edmonton and Saskatoon brought Alert to the area.
We just felt it was also a bit of a gap, I think, geographically in Alert's coverage. So ultimately, the stars aligned and we were able to get approval for a team there.
Alert will assist local law enforcement investigations, focusing on organized crime.
It's often reported that we seize a lot of drugs. But we also have the human trafficking, firearms trafficking, also along with major property crime as well too. Maclean's magazine ranked Lloydminster 12th on its 2020 Canada's Most Dangerous Places list. North Battleford topped the ranking, while Cold Lake came in at number 27. Mayor Gerald Albers is excited about the impact of Alert's presence on crime.
Everything I've learned about Alert, that I've read about and heard from, is when Alert is here, you'll know it. People that are afraid of Alert will know it, and they don't like Alert, and Alert will send a very clear message to those that are committing crimes, certainly around serious issues. They will know they're here and they will be felt.
The renovations will cost the city $676,000. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
We rely on technology every day to stay connected with the ones we love, especially during these times. In an effort to keep people up to date, the Lloydminster Learning Council will be hosting a technology series for seniors. Becca Day has more.
I'm here with Rebecca Robinson, Program Coordinator, and Monet Mehta, an instructor with the Lloydminster Learning Council, to learn more about the technology series for seniors. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So to start, what does the Lloydminster Learning Council do?
Okay, well, I think I can speak to that. The Lloydminster Learning Council Association is funded by the Government of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and we serve to enrich our citizens in terms of education, whether they're upgrading their skills or learning something new. We offer a variety of different classes, including family literacy, English language learning, Spanish and French classes, and our technology classes, and they're all just based on adult education and bringing people up to the next stage of their life, whether they're upgrading their skills to get a new job or learning how to teach their children how to read. We offer a variety of different things.
Perfect. So do you mind explaining what this series is about and what participants will be learning?
Right now, it's all about digital and online computing because of Corona especially. So I think everyone should learn, and everyone actually has everyone should learn about the computer, that how can they connect with the people globally if they can't meet them due to pandemic. And also I think so there is no age of love and learning, so you can learn and you can love in any age according to me. So there is no age. That's why we are going to start our technology series for seniors, and I'm very excited that I will teach that one as well.
And if I can just add on, as Monet was saying, especially with the COVID pandemic, it's kind of further created the digital divide between people who have the ability to use technology and can access it versus those who didn't grow up with it, aren't comfortable using it. This class is great for people who want to learn more. And as Monet said, to be able to send an email to someone, maybe if their family lives in another away from the Lloydminster area. So that's why we find these classes really important to offer, and especially now when there's such an emphasis on the digital world. And I just also want to reinforce that although it says seniors, anybody, whether regardless if they're a senior or not, they're still welcome to join the class. We just start at the very basic level and build that foundational knowledge before we can move on to the next step. Yeah.
Awesome. And where can people go to learn more or register for this series?
So they can call our
Absolutely.
office, the Lloydminster Learning Council office, at 780-875-5763, or they can visit our website at lloydlearningcouncil.org. We have all our updated class schedule there. And they can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We put all of our updates as well. And I just, in case people missed the date of when it starts Tuesday. It's for 5 weeks on Tuesdays from March 9th to April 6th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And as Monet said, it's actually in the office because it'd be hard to offer a technology class through Zoom. But we do have all our COVID precautions, as Monet said, in place so people can feel safe and reassured and continue learning.
Perfect. And is there a cost at all to participate?
There is a cost of $125, and that can be e-transferred or paid in cash.
Is there anything you'd like to add on the topic while we have you?
I'm just looking forward to teach them technology series. So I will be very happy because I'm gonna teach them so they can, use the technology. They can use their laptop, they can use their phones, so they can talk to their kids if they are not there around. So I know that actually I taught phone to my grandfather. Now they always speak because he's not here, he's in India. So that's why I think so. I want to see that happiness on every person's face. So it's gonna be good for me, and I will be very happy if I will achieve something like that, to see happiness from people.
Well, thank you so much to the both of you. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll have more primetime local news for you after the break.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Welcome back. Earlier today, I got the chance to check in with Veterans Affairs Canada to talk about their mental health initiatives. Sitting down with me via Zoom is the Assistant Deputy Minister of Service Delivery for Veterans Affairs Canada, and he's here to discuss some of their mental health programs that they're currently offering for veterans as well as their families. Stephen Harris, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So just to start things off, could you just tell me a little bit about some of these services that you guys are currently running?
Sure, there's a range of supports that are available for veterans and or their families who may need some assistance with mental health issues or with other issues. And so either as part of a veteran's rehabilitation plan, as they've either made a transition over from the military to a post-military life or a civilian life, or if they recognize that they may have some challenges that come to them a little bit after they've released from the military, they can come to the department for assistance. Some of the assistance ends up being financial supports and programs, but a lot of it ends up obviously taking care of treatment or rehabilitation as required. That may be access to about over 12,000, a network of about 12,000 mental health professionals across the country that can be used for any variety of issues that the veteran and or their family may need supports with. There are also things that we fund across the country that are called occupational stress injury clinics. where again, veterans can seek treatment from psychotherapists, analysts, and others who help support them. Within the department, we offer supports in terms of case managers who will help guide veterans through the process of accessing additional help, coordinating their ability to seek additional assistance that they may require through either the provincial health system funded through Veterans Affairs or through some other pieces. And with respect to families, I'd say, families can access supports and help both through assisting the veteran in their rehabilitation and participating in sessions that may support the veteran's well-being, but also through things like military family resource centers. We've just recently launched a program a couple of years ago called the Veteran Family Program. It provides supports for families, obviously, through the military family resource centers. There's 32 locations across the country, not far from you. Well, not necessarily close, but Cold Lake and Edmonton would be areas that have military family resource centers, for example. But even if you're not located next to one of those, you can access some of those services either by phone or by an online portal that offers some help. And so those are a couple of examples of things that are in place.
And over the course of the pandemic, have you seen any increase in the demand or need for support among veterans?
I think that, one of the challenges that we've seen, Tate, is that the in-person service that people both sometimes like and are accustomed to wasn't something that was always available. And so while the demand may not have changed significantly, although we've seen some ups and downs over the course of the period of wave one or wave two of the pandemic, the way in which people are accessing some of these resources has changed. And so, our occupational stress injury clinics, as again, we operate 11 across the country and 9 additional satellites, they provide these kinds of psychological support services to veterans. What they've done is transition from about 9% at the outset of the pandemic, so about March of last year, about 9% of those were done virtually, to about 90% being done virtually, in the months that followed. And so the network and the system in place to support veterans made that adaptation to ensure they could continue to access supports and services that they needed during the pandemic.
And before we go, for any veterans who might be struggling or people who know a vet that's going through a tough time, where can they go to learn more about your support options?
So they can certainly go to our website, and we'll provide that to you so that you can have that as part of your session here today. And certainly reach out through our client contact center as well. So we have a 1-800 number during regular business hours, but for those who are in critical situations, as I mentioned, the VAC assistance line, people can call 24 hours a day. It's staffed by trained professionals who can help access treatment for those who may need it in the short term, and then and refer back to additional supports that can be in place as well.
Thanks so much for joining me, Stephen.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Frontline workers across the country are being honored for their hard work throughout the pandemic by Paladin Security with prestigious challenge coins. Shelby Clark spoke with Northern Alberta Director for more details on what this initiative is all about.
I'm speaking with Matt Garson, Director of Paladin Security. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. So now Paladin Security is wanting to recognize frontline workers with challenge coins. Can you explain more what these coins exactly are?
Sure. So it's a recognition piece that our company's put together through a committee to just get some recognition to our frontline staff that have worked throughout the pandemic. And, being essential staff is sometimes work goes unrecognized, and the pieces that our staff give on a daily basis to the community and the province at large is sometimes not felt. And we really want to make sure that they know that we genuinely value their contribution. They are making a difference, and the things that they do on a day-to-day basis are certainly noticed.
And why exactly at this moment has Paladin Security decided to honor frontline workers with these?
Well, so this has been in the planning stage actually for about 4 to 6 months now. So we've put quite a bit of work in behind the scenes to make sure that we're capturing it at the correct time. So just coming up at about the 1-year mark of the pandemic response was really important to us. So we could take the opportunity to kind of capture all the folks that have worked, whether for a month or a year throughout the pandemic response. It's been really important for us that this is a kind of a key timeline for us to be able to recognize folks, because it's a milestone, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to be going until March 5th now, correct?
Yeah, so we've actually got the rollout going on behind the scenes right now. So there's a certificate piece that goes tied in as well. So over the next couple of weeks, the entire rollout will be throughout the entire company.
And what exactly is all being recognized to each frontline worker when they receive this coin?
So there's a magnetic pin that has sort of a pandemic togetherness feel. And then we've also got a larger challenge coin, which is double-sided, kind of has our Paladin colors, which are really important to us and encompasses a world view to recognize kind of the reach of the pandemic. And then we were also doing a certificate signed by management for each employee that's worked throughout the pandemic.
And why does Paladin Security believe that this is so essential to have for frontline workers right now, especially during COVID-19?
Well, it's been particularly tough on the community at large, not just our staff, but members of the public, healthcare workers across the country. We've got so many folks that are out there on a day-to-day basis, both within Paladin and outside of Paladin, that are just doing a great job to give back and to make the world a safer place. And one of our key overarching value, if you will, is to make the world a safer and friendlier place. And that's exactly what our staff are doing. And, they're out there giving their all. They're on the front lines. They're exposed, they're helping people. And we just really believe in recognizing our staff. We've got some internal recognition programs that run on a monthly or more frequent basis. And this is just kind of an extension of that. We really believe in recognizing good work. We recognize folks that are sort of the unsung hero, if you will. And this is one of the unique opportunities where we believe it's really important that we focus on the positives.
And how many frontline workers in Alberta and in Lloydminster exactly will be receiving these?
So in Lloydminster, we've got about 80, approximately 2,600 throughout the province of Alberta, and then somewhere between 14 and 15,000 across the country.
Oh, wow, that's really great to hear. And how will this event take place during COVID when they receive all this, the coins and the pins and everything?
Yeah, so we've got a sort of a quote unquote care package program, a delivery system that we've developed. Was one of the key talking points for our committee behind the scenes, is to make sure that we're abiding by COVID guidelines. And even though we've still got staff out there on the front lines, we want to make sure that we're being super cognizant of that and setting a good example. So we've got sort of boxes that are being put together, individual packages, and we can follow the appropriate drop-off procedure and making sure the staff are getting recognized.
And is there anything else you want to add for people to know about?
Just that recognition is so important, and I would encourage any employer in the province or the country to take a minute and kind of reflect on staff that have been out there throughout this. And it's one of the reasons that working for Paladin is so great, is that our executive leadership team is also our ownership team. So they've been there, they've been on the front lines, and we recognize how important it is at management level to recognize these staff. And we just want to say that I guess the underlying statement is thank you.
Well, I personally think this is really amazing, and I'm glad to see that frontline workers are actually getting appreciated and recognized during this time especially. Thank you so much for joining us today, Matt.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all for now. Sports is next, but first, here's a look at your stock market prices.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Welcome back. The world of golf could be seeing changes at the professional level. With more on what the PGA of America will be doing, here's Evan Kenny.
Well, I'm pleased to be joined today by Marty Wheaton from Wheaton Golf Services, as well as from the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Club. Marty, thank you for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Marty, usually we're talking about a tournament that's going on or some actual golf that's happening. Today, we're going to take a little bit more of a look at some future things that could be happening and some potential rule changes here. And just starting things off with the PGA of America announcing that in the PGA Championship, the Women's Championship, as well as the Senior Championship, players will now be allowed to use distance measuring devices or range finders. I guess just starting things off, Marty, do you think this will really change the outcome of the game and really affect these players to the same degree that it would affect maybe you or I or, an average golfer out there?
I don't think it will. I don't think the effect of the pros having these distance rangefinders will have much effect. If anything, it might actually slow down play and just add another element to getting prepared for a golf shot. But these caddies are walking these courses days in advance for hours on end, logging every bit of distance information, incline, stepping off all the yardages, and they'll have more and more information every year. Their tour pros play that golf course. So they have tons of information. If anything, we're almost looking to get less information in their brains and speed up play. If anything, I think it might be a negative and just add another thing to do before your shot and make the game slower.
No, Marty, you did kind of just answer my next question, but I was going to say we have caddies for this reason, right? You can read greens, you can see, where's a good place to miss, different things like that. So I guess, do you think that this rangefinder is thinking of replacing caddies in that sense? Or what do you think the sort of future looks like for that, if any changes?
Definitely don't think it's ever going to replace the caddy. I think from a mental standpoint and preparing for each golf shot and just even talking that out with another person to get that definite answer of what your goal is for the next shot, it's never going to be replaced. I do think it may add to the already slow play on the PGA Tour, just having another aspect to go over and another yardage to go over.
Now, Marty, changing it to what some potential future rules could be looking like. The RNA and the USGA, the two governing bodies of worldwide golf, have started their Distance Insights report. It's been out for about a year now. And just recently, what they started saying is they want to try and limit how far the pro players are starting to hit this ball. And just saying that, it's not practical for the future of golf. I guess just what are your thoughts on that whole aspect right now?
Too little, too late. If they started on this maybe 20 years ago, I think they could have had some influence on it. Now with the research and development and, me and my staff right now are looking at some of the R&D that's coming out in the new equipment. Ridiculous, the amount of science and investment that's going into golf equipment now. Even if they introduce different measurements, different restrictions, these people are going to find another way to make the golf ball go longer. And these are athletes at the highest level. You want to protect the average golfer, make the game easier for them. And that's where the focus has to be. The distance, worrying about how far tour pros hit it, is irrelevant. They're going to get over it with research and development. And I think the main focus should be your average player, is making the game more fun for them.
And to build the game for, like I said, those everyday players like myself, like so many others out there, and try to build that game. Just like what we saw over this past year, and really that growth there has been amazing. Marty, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me. This was Marty Wheaton.
Thanks again for having me.
Now we go to Heather Klages with what's happening.
Get your tickets now for an absolutely delicious meal as the Lloydminster and District Fish and Game Association gear up to host their drive-through banquet. They can't host their usual banquet like they do every year, so they've adapted it to make sure they're following all the health guidelines and public orders to bring you a delicious meal at a drive-through banquet here at the Lloyd X. And on the menu this year, it's going to be wild boar, turkey, all the trimmings, and dessert as well. Get your ticket now so that you don't miss out on this delicious meal on February the 28th. You can get your ticket at eventbrite.ca. Get registered now so that you are in for a fun day on the trails at the Paradise Hill Snowmobile Rally. It's coming up on Saturday, March the 6th. Register now, and when you do, you get to spend a beautiful day out on a 75-kilometer trail, plus you've got a chance to win some door prizes as well. You do need to pre-register so that they can get you your start time, and everybody can maintain that physical distancing while out on the trails. It's $25 a sled. Call or text 306-344-7723. And you and your family can support the Lloydminster and District SPCA and enjoy a magic show coming up on February 28th with Magic Unleashed. You'll find all the information on the Lloydminster and District SPCA Facebook page. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's take a look at your agriculture prices. Well, joining us for the Friday entertainment panel is Abby St. John. Abby, there's a few things on the agenda for this panel today. Mainly we'll start with the trailer drop that happened earlier this week with the Cruella trailer, the long-awaited kind of live-action series of the origin story of the infamous 101 Dalmatians villain Cruella de Vil, played by Emma Stone. So just give us your overall thoughts on what you thought and what you took away from this trailer.
I thought the trailer was very good. It was very different, and it also seems as though Disney is taking quite a dark turn. We all know that her origin or her story is horrible. She is a horrible villain, skinning puppies, skinning dogs just to make coats and fashion. It's a horrific story. So it has to have some level of darkness in it. And so when it dropped, the term Disney's Joker started trending on Twitter. People were drawing comparisons from Joaquin Phoenix's Joker to Emma Stone's portrayal of Cruella in the trailer. And basically, it's just going to follow the young fashion designer and how and when she becomes obsessed with the idea of using dogs as to make fur coats, and how she's just a horrific character. And a lot of people are very excited to see it, but there are some people who aren't thrilled with the idea of having an origin story for this villain. People saying that this could make Cruella a misunderstood anti-hero, which is something that people don't want to see, because she is just so horrific in the actions that she takes, and she just doesn't care about the consequences of her actions. But it's going to be interesting to see. I would like it to be a very dark film. I think it has to be for this specific villain, and if they do it well, she won't be misunderstood, and she will be a villain, and she will remain that villainous way. So I'm very excited to see it, and I hope that it is the way that I kind of have it imagined in my head.
I definitely did see those Joker vibes, like you said, of course, trending on Twitter, like you mentioned, definitely gives off that. Sticking with that Disney, there's a little bit of a spoiler warning on our next topic here, Abby. WandaVision, of course, already, doing really, really well on Disney+. And like I said, there's a little bit of a spoiler warning because now that we're a couple episodes into this season, there's lots of things that are finally starting to be revealed and answered. So what are some things that kind of, make that reveal or news kind of very exciting?
Yeah, the idea of WandaVision is very different than any Marvel movie that we've seen in the past, any of them. This is completely different. But on episode 5 a couple weeks ago, they did have a massive reveal, which people were kind of teasing at, or, they were talking about it. They think that this is going to happen. And when it happened, it was shocking still, to say the least. But when so when Marvel now owns the rights to the X-Men, there were a bunch of questions on how they were actually going to introduce the mutants into the MCU, specifically Quicksilver, who we saw in Age of Ultron, who is Wanda Maximoff's brother, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson in the movie as Pietro. He was shot and killed in Age of Ultron. So that was a question. Will we see Evan Peters Quicksilver, who plays in Fox's X-Men, in the MCU, and how are they going to introduce that? Well, they were able to pull it off, as he was revealed at the end of episode 5 of WandaVision, and his character carried over into the next episode. And so that was a huge shock and huge surprise that a lot of people did see coming, but it was still very exciting to see that, and they were kind of able to play into that and add that. And Kat Dennings, who plays Dr. Darcy Lewis on the show, she was also in Thor. She stated that it was very difficult to keep the reveal a secret. Even so, they had Evan Peters cloaked to avoid any drone shots from leaking it. So they really kept this surprise and this secret under wraps, and it just, that step further into introducing the mutants and introducing the X-Men into this MCU that we have.
Yeah, and of course, X-Men movie is expected in the near future for Marvel, and it's just great to see all these possible reveals. And one of the last topics we're going to talk about, Abby, is the Demi Lovato Dancing with the Devil documentary trailer dropped earlier this week as well. And you learn right away from just the first few minutes how serious that Demi Lovato had it with her overdose a couple years ago, and how you really get a feel for what really happened. And a lot of people are saying that this is, a really good in-depth way to just kind of look at how she, almost did die, essentially.
Yes. The trailer says it all. This is going to be a very dark documentary. It's going to touch on a lot of serious issues, including, like you mentioned, her overdose from a couple years ago. Anyone who knows or who has followed her story throughout the years, I have for sure, because I've been a fan of hers since I was a kid. But she has had a tough go of things growing up. Eating disorders, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, all of that. And then she was sober for so many years, and then a couple years ago she had that overdose. And this documentary is going to take a look at the events leading up to it and the aftermath following it. And just to give an insight how serious this situation was, she does reveal in the trailer that she had 3 strokes and a heart attack, and the doctors only gave her 5 to 10 minutes left to live. Thankfully, she was able to survive, and now she is talking about it, and she's talking about all the hard stuff that she went through. And her family, her friends, other celebrities were interviewed in this as well, talking about her journey and how it affected them personally. And so it's a 4-part documentary series on YouTube, dropping March 23rd, and I'm very excited for it because it's going to show just the level of seriousness when it comes to drug and alcohol abuse and eating disorders and mental health and talking about it. So I'm very excited to see it, but it is definitely going to be serious matter, and it's going to be quite dark.
Yeah, hopefully this documentary will hopefully be an outlet for other people to go get help as well. Abby St. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm joined here today with John Holland, a local musician out of Vermilion. Now, you've recently released your first single, Lonely Night. So can you just give some background into this song?
Yeah, so Lonely Night, I was really kind of in a hard place or whatever after a relationship. And it's just kind of more talking about the kind of the struggles of kind of being released from that, like in a sense, just like I guess feeling that loneliness, and I feel like a lot of people are going through the same thing, like it's very romanticized and everything, to have somebody to be the other half of you, and it's just like, if it doesn't work, then it's just kind of hard to find yourself, I guess, after that. So yeah, that's basically what that one's about.
And how was it working on the song during a time where, it's a bit more difficult with COVID?
So that's kind of like it was all done here, yeah. So I was able to get my own equipment or whatever to do the song myself here. So nobody else was really helping me, so I didn't have to go anywhere like to go record or something like that. More just the aloneness, I suppose. Like it's just a lot of like, it's a lonely song. It's a lonely, kind of work, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know, more of that.
And as you mentioned, it is more lonely, but it must have been pretty exciting for you to be able to release your first song.
Sure, yeah, like production wise, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I'm learning as I go along. Like it's not like I have any crazy producing, magic or whatever. So like I just wanted to really just put out the song as if I were singing it to you live, I suppose. And like that's really exciting to me or whatever, that it's with its imperfections and everything. It's just if we were sitting just me just performing that song just for you, so that's kind of how I recorded it and how I wanted it to sound and what I wanted people to how I wanted them to connect, I suppose.
Have you always kind of had that interest in songwriting and creating music, and this just all kind of worked together to release the song?
Yeah. So like this is what I want to do, that's for sure. If that God willing, like it's just I've always loved music, like all my siblings are musicians, and well, I guess my younger ones aren't, but like we're a very musical family, and growing up with music definitely pushes me to kind of be better myself, and I don't know, putting up that song just kind of feels like a step in the right direction.
And now with the first one out of the way, what are some of the future plans that you have?
Well, definitely to put out some more stuff, working on some stuff right now, and hopefully we'll be a little bit more professional. But like, yeah, more music for sure.
And if anyone is looking to find the song or where your next releases may be, where should they go?
They can go on Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music. You can find it, I think, on Deezer and iHeartRadio under John Holland. Just yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, John.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.